today. We are so excited to bring you some LinkedIn training just for military spouse business owners in mind. And I am going to let Alexandra introduce our guest today because she did so much hard work getting this all put together. So we're grateful. Alexandra is one of our Millspreneurs that we have in our network. So take it off.
Hi, welcome everybody. We're so excited you joined us. We have the honor to have Donna Sardula with us today hosting this webinar. Donna loves LinkedIn. She's the author of the popular book, LinkedIn Makeover: Professional Secrets to a Powerful LinkedIn Profile. It was in 2009 when she decided to break free from corporate America and set out on her own path. She started Vision Board Media with the goal to help business and individuals leverage the internet in their quest to market themselves. Donna is the most foremost expert in LinkedIn profile optimization. She founded LinkedInMakeover.com, where she helps individuals from around the world brand themselves successfully using LinkedIn. Donna has also appeared on SiriusXM Radio, NBC, and many other news outlets. Welcome, Donna. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Alexandra and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. It's absolutely a pleasure. So, guys, I want everyone to know that we are going to be monitoring Twitter. So if anyone has any questions, please go on tweet. I'll be talking about the hashtag in a minute. So we do want you guys to interact with us. Right now, I'm just going to transition to my desktop screen. And what I'm going to be presenting to you today is this Military Spouse webinar. It's Unleash the Power of Your LinkedIn Profile and Leverage LinkedIn in 4 Easy Steps. And as Alexandra told you, I'm the author of the book LinkedIn Makeover: Professional Secrets to a Powerful LinkedIn Profile. I'm also the founder of Vision Board Media and LinkedIn-Makeover.com. And if you see this screenshot that I've included, with the books that I've written and the research that I've done on LinkedIn, it clearly works because whenever I go in there to how my profile ranks, I'm always somewhere in that number 1, number 2 spot. So clearly what I'm doing is making sense and it's working. But what I will say to you is this, please tweet along. We're going to be monitoring the hashtag MILSPOLI hashtag, and feel free to message us if you have any questions as we go through this presentation. Now, I will say to you guys, before we just dive into LinkedIn, I wanted to show you this picture. I'm not a military spouse, but I am the wife of a former Marine. I once said ex-Marine, and I got such an earful saying that. Apparently, that's a real big no-no in that world. But I will say that having a Marine as a former Marine as a husband has been wonderful because I am not allowed to iron, and he likes to do all the laundry because I cannot fold correctly. So hats off to that. Let's move on. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been on LinkedIn since 2005. If anyone has been on longer, or if anyone knows when they joined LinkedIn, go ahead and hashtag it with MilSpoLI on Twitter so we can see when you started LinkedIn. But I started back in 2005, so it's been over a decade, which is just crazy to even think about. But I will say this, I do remember joining LinkedIn back then, and I remember being presented with a LinkedIn profile, and I didn't know what it was. It kind of looked a little bit like my resume, so I just copied and pasted my resume into my LinkedIn profile, and I leaned back and I thought I did a great job, and that was it. Nothing happened. and it was just funny because, of course, I couldn't wait to get on because everyone was telling me this is the world's largest professional network. It connects you to your trusted contacts and helps you exchange knowledge and ideas. But back then, that fateful day in 2005, well, nothing really happened for me then. And nothing did happen until I changed jobs and I got into a sales position in which I was selling software to architects and engineers in the Philadelphia area, and I started to cold call. And what happened is, back then I was cold calling, I was trying to reach people, and I realized rather early on that as I was calling people, and I wanted to learn more about them. I was Googling their name, and one of the first things that I was finding was their LinkedIn profile. In fact, most of the cases, that's all I found was their LinkedIn profile. And it dawned on me, I bet these people are Googling me, and what are they finding? And sure enough, what they were finding back then was my LinkedIn profile that looked an awful lot like my resume. And here was this opportunity in which I could have controlled how people perceived me, and instead I just offered up this sort of, plagiarized resume that didn't really say anything true about me that I wanted people to know, right? It was, I'm an accomplished and integrity-driven professional, blah, blah, blah. How boring. And that's when I realized, and this is important, I had a number of epiphanies regarding LinkedIn, and that first epiphany occurred at that moment as I looked at this resume LinkedIn profile. And that is my first epiphany, is that, one, your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. And a lot of people think that. And if you're on Twitter, go ahead and send us a hashtag and let us know if your LinkedIn profile looks a lot like your resume. It's okay to admit it, because I'm gonna show you how to change that and how to really have a profile that, I've got to turn my phone off, that truly brands you in the right way. And so the first thing is, your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. Your resume is your professional past. It's just what you've done. Your LinkedIn profile is your career future. It's your reputation. It's who you are. It's your digital introduction. It's your first impression, and you really want to make it look great. My other epiphany that I had is that a successful LinkedIn profile is written for your target audience. And so what I mean by that is, when you think of a LinkedIn profile, not everyone is in job search mode, right? And so if you're in job search mode, your target audience is a recruiter, and maybe they would care about seeing some items from your resume. But if you're on it because you're selling, or maybe you're on it because you want to be seen as a thought leader, having a copied and pasted resume just doesn't make sense. You need to think in terms of what your target audience needs to know about you. And only then will you have a successful profile, if you write it towards their needs, their wants, what they need to know about you. And so once I had those two epiphanies, I went into my LinkedIn profile and I really optimized it. I changed it around, and I really kept in mind my target audience, and I wrote a narrative that really told people who I was and how I could help them. And it was amazing what happened once I did that. I started to find an amazing success, because my clients and my prospects were in fact Googling me, and they were finding my LinkedIn profile, and when they saw this narrative, this introduction, well, it really changed their mind. And so once I did that, I was able to take my territory from 0 to 3.4 million in a year, and it was shortly thereafter that I decided to set off on my own path, and I started my own company. It's Vision Board Media, and I now have, this is just a small sampling, but I now have about 40 writers who work with me, and we write LinkedIn profiles for people all over the world. And having done this now since we started in 2009, and we've written thousands of profiles, I'm going to take all of the knowledge that I've been able to amass, and I'm going to share it with you today. So with that said, we're going to get started, and I'm going to give you 4 tips that you can use to immediately, if you take notes and you put it into play, you'll be able to really crank up your results and your impact on LinkedIn. So as we move forward, who uses LinkedIn? It's not Facebook, and it's certainly not Twitter, not in any way. It really is a professional network more so than it's a professional network as opposed to a social network. And people are on it not to discuss football, not to discuss their kids or TV. They're on it to talk about their career. They're on it in a professional manner. All right, and so when we look at the people who use LinkedIn, it's pretty much half female, half male. They're not young, not by any means. 35 to 54 is 36%. Over 55 is 12%. So it does skew quite a bit older than the other social networks. And this is where decision makers hang out. These are people who are educated, and these are people who are making quite a bit of money. So it really is a specialized audience, a very strong demographic. if we were to delve in a little bit more, what we've heard, and a lot of people say this, but 80% of companies today are using social media for recruitment purposes. And of that 80%, 95% of these companies are using LinkedIn. I would go so far as to say that the 5% that says they aren't using LinkedIn, well, I would say that they're probably lying because, and the reason for this is when, if you could do research on a candidate and find out more about them, who's in their network, recommendations that people that they know have given to them. If you could see groups that they belong to and really get a better view of who this person is, wouldn't you, especially if the tool was free? Of course you would. And so LinkedIn is a huge tool for recruiters, for hiring managers, for HR professionals. And the thing to keep in mind is this isn't something to scare you. This is something that you want to embrace and you want to control. You want to take control and take advantage of this amazing, amazing tool. And so with that said, I'm now going to give you 4 tips to crank up your brand and stand out on LinkedIn. If you don't have a pen and paper ready, go and grab it, fetch it, and take notes because I'm going to be going pretty quickly. So my very first tip that I have is I want you to optimize your LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to share with you some ideas and things that you can do to optimize your profile to really stand out and get noticed. And so here are 2 LinkedIn profiles. One is my older one that I used to have, and then I just used one from a client that we recently optimized. And when you look at these 2 profiles, there's one that clearly catches your eye, and that's Williams. There's something about that profile that really jumps out. And so the question is, what makes a LinkedIn profile powerful? And there's a number of things that you can do to really make sure that your profile makes an impact. The first thing is a professional headshot. Very, very important. This is your face to the world. And I know there's a lot of people who say, oh, but I just don't want to. I don't want to put my picture up there. Can I not have a picture? The problem with that is, think of it this way. If you went onto Amazon and you were looking to buy something, and maybe it was like a camera or something, and you find it on Amazon, but there's no picture associated, like you can't see what it looks like, would you take it seriously? Would you feel like maybe there something shifty is going on? Of course you would. And so it's the same thing with LinkedIn. Pictures really do show that you're genuine and that you're serious and that you mean business. So absolutely get a headshot, upload it, and post that picture of yourself. It really is important that when you do upload that headshot, it's great if you can get it professionally taken. Honestly, I think most people think, oh, it's outside of my price range, but there are a lot of good deals out there. Really do try to get it professionally taken. If you just simply can't do it, then get someone to take your picture. There are, you can use a camera phone for that matter. Just make sure that the background is blank. All right, so white or black or whatever. Just don't have something busy behind you. We want you to be the focus. And definitely, I want you to smile, and I want you to fill the frame. I want to see your eyes twinkling. I want to see you smiling. I don't want to see any ankles. I don't want to see any elbows. I don't want to see any knees. All right. And so if we look at some of these do nots, don't shovel, don't stand next to a car, do not pose with a parrot on your head, don't hula hoop. Yes, we're being silly, but honestly, it's a lot easier to find horrible pictures than it is to find good pictures. So really do make sure that you're putting your best face forward. And so some tips, if you can, try to get it professionally taken. Look straight into the camera. Use a pale color or a white background. Even a black background is fine. Just make it blank. Make sure you're the focus. Please dress professionally. My mother always said to me, don't dress for the job that you have, dress for the job that you want. No one has ever been denied an opportunity because they look too good, that they were overdressed. That never really happens. But definitely zoom in close and frame your face, okay? And yes, I know that I said to get a picture taken by a professional photographer. That goes out the window if it was taken at a wedding. So everyone knows that your date's been cut out. So don't skip the wedding pictures, okay? let's keep moving on. The next thing that makes a very powerful profile is a compelling headline. Now, most headlines are the default. It's just your job title and the company that you work at, and that's it. But you can go in there and you can edit it. And think of it like this. A headline in a newspaper compels you to read more, right? It kind of summarizes the idea of the story, and it makes you want to learn more. So what I want you to do is really look at your headline and just say no to the default of just your job title and your company, and I want you to create something that's much more compelling. I want it to almost be just a taste of what the rest of your profile offers, and I want it to compel people. Now, we only have about an hour on this broadcast, so I can't go into the how to craft it, but what I can do is direct you to my website. If you go to linkedin-makeover.com, this used to be an ebook, but I just recently had it coded, so it's now an app. And what you do is, once you get there, you just click on the adjectives, click on your keywords, and at the very bottom, you're going to get this really awesome headline that kind of looks like the ones that I have here listed. And it's super easy, and it's definitely going to make you stand out. So if you haven't, please go visit linkedin-makeover.com. It's /LinkedIn-headline-generator, and you can access this app that will create for you a really fantastic, sexy headline. The next thing I want you guys to think about are your experiences. And we really do want to see the trajectory of your career. Now, you don't have to go back 30 years, but really just think in terms of, let's go back far enough that it legitimizes us, and think in terms of, if we don't want to go so far back that we're talking about things that don't apply to your future goals. So, if you had like a really big change in your career at a point maybe 10, 15 years ago, you don't have to go back all that far. I do want you to make sure, though, that it matches your resume in terms of dates. There's nothing worse than when your resume and your LinkedIn profile, the dates on those experiences don't match correctly. It makes people scratch their heads, especially when we're talking about recruiters and hiring managers. So I want you to make sure that you have good, complete experiences. But really, the most important thing here is I want them to be keyword optimized. And remember what I was telling you guys earlier about your profile. We want to make sure that it's written towards your target audience. So think in terms of what your target audience would be searching for if they didn't know your name. All right, so if you're on here because you're looking for a job, well, what would be that job title that would be perfect for you? What are those skill sets that would be in that job description? Or maybe if you're a service provider, maybe perhaps you're a small business owner, think in terms of your target clients, your prospects. What solution do you offer? What problems do you solve? Think in those terms and use those keywords. And I want you to sprinkle them. I want you to sprinkle them in your headline. I want you to sprinkle them throughout your experiences. And later on, I'm going to tell you to sprinkle them through your summary. All right? It's really, really important, because that is the key to getting found. Making sure that the words a person is searching for on LinkedIn are the words that you're using in your profile. If you're not using those words, you'll never be found. All right, so definitely think in terms of the keywords that a person would be looking to find someone like you, and pepper them throughout your profile. The next thing that is really, really, really important is your connections. And I'm not going to go into this too much right now. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on, but you really do want to make sure that you're connecting every day, and it's a part of your process. The people that you meet along the way, you're connecting to, because when you have a large network, that means success on LinkedIn. All right, I'm not talking about aiming low and wide, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later, but just know that just simply having 50 connections on LinkedIn, it ain't going to work. It's not going to be enough. Let's keep moving forward on terms of the LinkedIn profile optimization. The next thing is contact information. Really, really, really important. I know it sounds silly, but I can't tell you how many times people have called me and said things like, "Oh, Donna, I've been on LinkedIn for years, my phone has never rung." Well, I look at their LinkedIn profile and they didn't include their phone number. So, how can opportunity knock if it doesn't know which door to knock on? The movers and the shakers of this world, if they're really interested in you, they're probably going to pick up the phone and try to make contact rather than sending out, an email into a void or into a black hole. So really make sure that you include ways to contact you. It's really, really important. In fact, I would go so far as to say, don't just include it here in the contact information. This is only visible by first-degree connections, but definitely put it in a few other places. Put it at the bottom of your summary. Put it at the bottom of your experience. Put it into the contact advice section, and say, hey, if you want to reach me, here's a way of doing so. And if you're not comfortable putting in a phone number, you can always get a Google Voice number. That's a way of kind of cloaking your information. So if you're a little worried about identity theft, that's a great way to go. The next thing is you want to have a strategic summary. And I've said this before, do not just copy and paste your resume. All right, that's not your brand. It's just what you've done. It's just your past. This needs to be your digital introduction. Almost think of it as a manifesto. This is where people are going to read to really try to figure out who you are and how you can help them. All right, because it's always what's in it for them, more so what's in it for you. So really think in terms of your target audience. What do they need to know to feel confident and comfortable? And so here's a few ideas, things that you can mention. So, one, write it in first person, right? This is a social network. We need to be sociable. We need to be personable. Everyone knows it's your profile. So for you to be writing it in third person makes you seem like the Queen of England, which is just silly. So, write it in first person, write it as a narrative, introduce yourself and give that elevator pitch. How do you help a person or companies or individuals? You can talk about what attracted you to your current position, to that your current field. You can talk about how you help your clients, how you help your employees. You can talk about how you help your colleagues. What kind of results can a person expect working with you? What is it that you do and you do differently? Describe a defining accomplishment, or 2 or 3, maybe not 3, but 1 or 2 is probably a good amount. You only have about 2,000 characters, so you have to be careful. You don't want to go too far. And definitely, what is your goal moving forward? What are you hoping to achieve? Why are you on LinkedIn? Are you looking for your next opportunity? Are you looking to affect positive change within a great organization? Are you on because you want to network? Are you on because you're looking for interview opportunities? Say what it is that you're looking for. Don't be shy. I mean, of course, you have to be careful if you're currently working. You might not want to say at this point, hey, you might want to be a little bit more subtle. But, depending upon your goals, sometimes it makes a lot of sense to state exactly what it is that you're trying to do, because otherwise most people aren't mind readers. They don't know. And then definitely, why and how should a person reach out to you, contact you? So definitely give a reason. Tell them how to reach out or why to reach out. Maybe you want to tell them to download a white paper. Maybe you want to tell them to visit a website. Maybe you want to tell them to download the LinkedIn headline generator, right? You want to have a little bit of a bait. Give them a reason to want to reach out and what to do. Give them a reason to convert. There are so many other areas of your LinkedIn profile. There are your volunteer experiences, certifications, education, organizations, honors and awards. There is so much there, and definitely don't just do the bare minimum. Instead, really think to yourself, what does a person need to know to feel confident and comfortable working with me? And then put that information out there, and put it out there in a very positive type of way. So your to-do list, use a professional photograph, include your contact information. Please don't copy and paste your resume, and definitely check out my free resources. So visit my website, linkedin-makeover.com. I've got tons of things out there that'll help you. But we've got more things to talk about than just your profile, because I really want you guys to know how to leverage LinkedIn. It's this fantastic tool. But the problem is, a lot of times people think it's just a profile. It's not just a profile. There's so much more to it, and you really need to be able to jump in and leverage it. So that's what the next couple tips are going to be about, really leveraging LinkedIn to find that success that you crave, you deserve. And so my number 1 tip was optimize your profile. My number 2 tip is build and use your network. All right? And so when we are thinking in terms of your LinkedIn network, it's profiles, right? It's a lot of profiles, and it's almost, if you think about it, I don't know how old school you guys are, but it's a little bit like a Rolodex, an old-fashioned Rolodex. And an old-fashioned Rolodex, if it was empty, is nothing more than a doorstop, right? It's totally useless. And LinkedIn is very much the same way. If you want to gain success, if you want to find that benefit of LinkedIn, you need to connect. It's just imperative to really connect and always be connecting. And so how many first-degree connections are in your network? And if you are on Twitter, absolutely tweet us. Use that hashtag that I had given you. Tell us how many people are in your network, and don't be shy. Is it less than 100? Is it somewhere between that 100 and 300, 300 to 500? Maybe it's over 500? Well, it's not that there's a right or wrong answer here, but I really do feel that you should be aiming for that 500 mark. You know, really try to connect with as many people as you can. Again, I'm not in any way suggesting aiming low and wide and connecting with anyone and their brother. I mean, I do that, but you don't have to. All right? Here's the thing. You want to connect because it's not just who you know, it's who they know. Because when you're connecting, it's more than just that first person. It actually goes deeper, and I'm going to explain that to you in a second. And so let's first talk about what does it mean to connect on LinkedIn. All right, and the first thing, what it means is when you're connecting to a person, they become a first-degree connection because you've sent them an invite, or maybe they've sent you an invite, and it's been accepted. You've accepted it, or they accepted it. Once you are in that person's network, you can see their first-degree connection network unless they turn it off, and you can turn it off. But you can see who you know in common, and you can see who they know in terms of their first degree. You also get to see their activity. So if they are posting things on status updates, if they're blogging, if they're in groups and things like that, you get to see that activity. It's on the news feed on that home page. You get to ask for introductions. So if you know someone that, or if they know someone that you'd love an introduction to, that you can ask them to make that introduction. You can also recommend them. They can recommend you, and you can endorse them, and they can endorse you. All right. So that's what connecting on LinkedIn means. It doesn't mean that you're best friends for life and you die for them, but it means that you know them, you've met them, you share an industry, you share a network. That's what it means to connect on LinkedIn. So when we think of the LinkedIn network, a lot of times people think of this sort of like jumbly network, this cloud of people who are just in there, and it's chaos, it doesn't make sense, but there's actual structure to your LinkedIn network. And so let me explain what this looks like, and I think I'm going to have to take myself out here so you can see the full network. And so I don't know how many of you guys, I don't even know who's out there exactly, what your age range is, oh, I just got a message about connecting. I'm going to take that in a second because I'm going to explain how this works, and I think that's going to answer the question that just came in about I'm getting connections, but I don't know who these are. Should I accept those connections? I'm going to answer that in a second. So when we think of the LinkedIn network, there's a structure to it. And when we think in terms of that structure, it's very much like an old parlor game from the 90s called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I don't know if any of you remember it. I hope you do. It was a fun game. I used to play it all the time. But if we think in terms of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, we basically can understand the LinkedIn network. So the only thing is it's not 6 degrees. It's actually 3 degrees. So let's come over here and let's pretend that we're Kevin Bacon. Okay, and Kevin Bacon goes to a networking event, and he meets a guy named John, and one of them trades an invite, says, hey, I'd love for you to be part of my network, and they trade that invite, and whichever way it goes, it doesn't matter, but one of them sends it, the other one accepts it, and suddenly John is a first-degree connection to Kevin Bacon. Now, John knows someone. He knows a gal named Mary. Mary doesn't know Kevin Bacon, but Mary is a second-degree connection to Kevin Bacon. All right. Mary knows a guy named Joe. Joe doesn't know John. Joe doesn't know Kevin Bacon, but Joe is a third-degree connection to Kevin Bacon. All right, because it's 3 degrees. That's how far this network goes. And so, if Joe knows someone, and out there is Audra, Audra is nothing to Kevin Bacon because Audra is outside the 3 degrees. If Kevin Bacon wanted to bring Audra into his network, he would have to send her an invite to connect, or someone had to get him send that invite in to bring her in close. Now, there is one other type of person in that network, and that is groups. Any group member that belongs to a group that Kevin Bacon is also a part of, is a member of, those people are also within this LinkedIn network. And so, what does this mean? This means that if John is searching LinkedIn, perhaps for an actor, because he's maybe, let's say he's casting a movie, I know how crazy this is, and he's using LinkedIn to kind of get ideas. If he puts in actor into the LinkedIn search and Kevin Bacon has actor listed in his LinkedIn profile, he's definitely going to be popping up for John. Same thing with Mary. Maybe not as high up in the search results, but he'll be there. For Joe, he'll be there, probably not at the very top because they're not close in their network, but you know, he's still going to be there. But once we get outside of the network, if Audra tries to search for an actor, you know, Kevin Bacon might pop up, but it's going to be very far down. And even if it does pop up, if she's not a premium member, she's not even going to be able to see his name. So it's almost like being in a void. So if you want to be found and if you want to find people, you need to have a network, because it's that network that you're searching when you're searching LinkedIn. It's not that you're searching the entire database of users. You're really searching the people who are within your LinkedIn network. And so, answering the question that had come in, which was people are asking to connect with me and I don't know who they are, my answer is check out their LinkedIn profile. Do they look hinky? If they look hinky, if they look like a spammer, say no. But if the person looks professional, if they're within your network, maybe they know people that you know, if they seem professional, go ahead. You know, connect. You never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. You know, if you think about yourself, if you do go to a networking event, you don't just hang out in the corner with the people that you know. You go out and you try to meet people, and that's what I'm saying here is look at it as a way of finding opportunity, meeting new people, and connect in a spirit that is smart and it's positive. Certainly do not aim low and wide and connect any, you know, and just send out invites left and right. That's not smart. But you know, definitely think in terms of the people that you meet, the people that you know, the people that who are constantly coming into your life, either as clients or prospects or vendors or service providers or even me. Heck, send me an invite. I'd love to connect with you. And then start to watch the good things that happen, because once they're in your network, then they're listening to your message and they can talk to you and they can interact with you, and good things can happen. And here's a fantastic image that I created of Kevin Bacon. I'm sure you're wowed by my artistic ability. But in this little illustration, just by connecting to 2 people and joining a number of groups, look at how many people are in his network. It's amazing how fast you can expand your network just by making small connections. So who do you connect to if you want to grow your network? Definitely connect with your family and your friends. It's okay if they're not within your industry or within your profession. That's okay, because you don't know who they know. You never know where opportunity is going to turn up. But definitely if you're in school, connect to your professors, connect to your schoolmates. Even if you've graduated years ago, go back to those people that you knew back then and reconnect. Colleagues and employers and recruiters and people that you meet along the way. And it does say Lions there. That stands for LinkedIn Open Networker, and it's safe to connect with Lions. Typically, these are people who are like myself. They'll basically connect with anyone, and so you have to be careful, because they could be spammers, but they probably aren't. They probably just understand the importance of connecting, and they're open. So you can always connect to someone like that. They won't mark you as an I don't know. If we delve in a little bit further, you know, once we have this strong network, let's talk about really using the network. And so if we look at our search bar at the very top of the page, there's a little advanced button right there. It's not a button, it's a link. If you click on that, you get to the advanced people search. And you can really do some amazing searches here. So if you're looking for a job, search for recruiters, hiring managers. Maybe search for companies that are interesting to you, that are within your industry. Maybe use LinkedIn to find your prospects. Maybe look for your clients and then go out and see who do they know. But it's all done through keywords, and you just go in there and type in those keywords, type in a name. You can go in as far as and say, hey, I want within this location, 50-mile radius. You can search by company. It's really quite amazing. But once you do search and you start to look at the search results and you see someone who's interesting, notice how you're connected to them. See that second degree? That means we know someone in common. We have a mutual acquaintance that we're both connected to. And then you just look over here on the right, and you can see how you're connected to that person. And so perhaps if this is someone who's hiring, rather than just calling them, maybe get that introduction. Call someone that you both know in common and see if they can help you put that resume on their desk. Or even for a prospect, it's, rather than do a cold call, warm it up by talking about the people that you mutually know, that you've helped, that they also know. So just a great way to kind of warm up those calls and find. And here's the thing. With LinkedIn, I truly believe the power of LinkedIn is that it makes invisible relationships visible. No other network can say that. And this is what I'm talking about. How in the world would I ever have known that I was connected to Warren Buffett, through Carol? I mean, never. And so that's an idea. So you can see how you know people, and it's sometimes it's really eye-opening. So what I want you guys to take out of this number 2 is that, build your network, really connect. Again, if a person seems weird, you don't have to connect with them. If they've invited you to be a part of your network and it just doesn't feel right, say no. But, be open to the connecting, and definitely be proactive. Really think in terms of, the people that you talk to on a daily basis. Are you connected to them on LinkedIn? Really make a concerted effort to make that offline network reflect your online network. All right, so you want those two to reflect each other. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I do invite you to connect with me. All you have to do is go to LinkedIn and type in Donna Serdula and hit that connect button and tell me that you like this webinar. I hope you like this webinar. Let's keep moving forward. The next thing here is number 3. So what was number 1? It was optimize your network. Number 2 is build and use your network. Or does it say optimize your profile? Number 2 is build and use your network. Number 3 is share and network. I want you to become a thought leader. I really want you to use LinkedIn now like a social network. And what I mean by that is, get here and really start to post. This is your newsfeed. It's like Facebook, except we're not talking about pop culture and our families. We're talking about our industries and our professions and our career and what's going on in that regard. And so definitely get on LinkedIn and look at that homepage and read it like it's a newspaper. So, maybe, instead of getting onto the New York Times in the morning, open up LinkedIn and see what your first degree network is talking about, because they're posting. It's almost like a newspaper that's been curated by the people that you've connected to, and you can really see what's going on in their minds and what's going on in that industry. But post, share an update. And so if you have articles that you think are interesting, that you happen upon, share it. Click share and share it to your LinkedIn network. But once you're posting, and here's the thing, I recognize it's hard to create content, but here's the beautiful part. You don't always have to be a content creator. You can be a content curator. And the way you do that is read through the newsfeed, see what people are talking about, and then all you need to do is interact. And you can like, and you can comment, and you can share. And so if you don't really feel like coming up with content yourself, go through and see what other people are talking about and share it. It's great for them because they're happy to have that information, clearly being popular. But it also helps you because you don't have to necessarily always come up with something fresh yourself. You can see what other people are doing. So definitely share and hit like and hit comment and interact in that manner. The other thing is with LinkedIn, you can now, they have the publishing platform. They've got Pulse, and you can actually, post and blog on LinkedIn, and it's fantastic. So you don't need to have your own WordPress site to do this. You can do it straight from LinkedIn. And, this is a great way to really showcase your knowledge, showcase your expertise, let people know what's going on, and use it to help and educate. It's really a fantastic thing to do. And so definitely, if you can, become a content creator, use that, and those posts that you write show up on your LinkedIn profile. If you think about it, if you just write a couple posts and then you're applying for a job and it's you against a couple people and you're the one that actually took some time and you really showcased your knowledge and you posted those blogs, those people are going to look at that, and that's going to rank you a little higher in their minds, that you're doing something, that you are proactive and you are a thought leader. So really think in those terms. It's a great way to build credibility. So, so in terms of what to remember, definitely share expert advice, links to compelling articles, upcoming events, business ventures. Certainly, if you know of jobs that are opening, go ahead, post about that. Questions, you can ask for things, but don't post pictures of kittens or vacation slides. That's for Facebook or Twitter. All right, and now I was going to move to my next question, but I just see that we got another really interesting question here. When should we upgrade to LinkedIn Premium? And that's a really great question. And so here's my answer has changed over the years. A few years back, I used to say yes, definitely. Upgrade. There's these great discount plans, only $7 a month, absolutely worth it. LinkedIn doesn't have these discounted plans anymore. They're quite a bit more expensive. And so what I say is this: just use LinkedIn. Use it as best as you can. Don't worry about upgrading. Once you start to find that you're a little restricted, and what I mean by that is maybe you want to message a person you can't because they're not within your network. Maybe you're doing some searches, but you're not able to see beyond the 10th page of the search results. Perhaps you've done so many searches that LinkedIn is saying, hey, you've hit your commercial limit. In those situations, that's when it's time to start to upgrade. And so really ultimately, it's how much are you using LinkedIn, how hard are you hitting it. That's what's really going to determine if you should upgrade. At this point in time, if you're just a regular, normal user of LinkedIn, you probably are totally fine at the free plan. But if you're really using it to recruit heavily or to prospect heavily, when you're really making a lot of money from it, that's the time that LinkedIn wants their payment. And so with that said, I'm moving on to my fourth tip, and that is to stay positive and have fun. LinkedIn is really a fantastic network. There's so much opportunity there, but the problem is a lot of people get on LinkedIn and they say, all right, LinkedIn, give me the leads, give me sales, find me a job, and then they wonder why nothing's happening. And the reason is you're going in there with this take type of idea, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to go on LinkedIn and say, okay, how can I give? How can I help? How can I influence? How can I add value? How can I educate? How can I inspire? How can I help people? How can I introduce people within my network so they can find more opportunity? How can I, give my knowledge to others? Once you go on LinkedIn and you go there to help and inspire, and you're having fun doing it, that's when good opportunity is going to come back and hit you. If you go on just aiming low and wide, sending out a spammy email to 1 million people, nothing's going to happen. But if you go on there to help and inspire, to add value, it might take a little bit. I'm not going to tell you it's a wham bam thank you ma'am type of thing, but if you do it and you do it consistently, you'll be amazed at all the good opportunities that come back, because people want to work with people like that. And so with that said, let's do a quick review. So my number 1 tip was optimize your LinkedIn profile. Number 2 is build and use your network. Number 3 is share and network. And number 4 is have fun. Really enjoy LinkedIn and give as much as you can. And with that said, I hope you all connect with me on LinkedIn. I want you to download my LinkedIn headline generator. See, this is the way it used to look. It was an ebook at one time, but now it's this interactive app that I'm very, very proud of. So I want you guys to try it, attempt it, and then tell me how much you liked it. Show me that new headline that you created with it. And know that I have a lot of free resources out there. Just visit my website, linkedin-makeover.com, click the free resources button, and there's a lot of stuff out there. With that said, I'm not going to end it just yet. I mean, of course, if you want to, you can stop. But I do have a few more minutes, and I did see that there's a couple new questions that just hit our Twitter feed. Thoughts on the difference between the mobile app versus the desktop version? It's completely different. It is different. I actually don't mind the mobile app. I know that there's a lot of people who are not exactly happy with the latest iteration of it. But you know, for what it is, I think it's great. It's a great way of just getting that information quicker. I myself am still a fan of the desktop. That's really, you know, I do my work in front of a desktop computer, and so for me it works. But if you don't have access to your desktop, that doesn't mean that you can't really truly find benefit in LinkedIn. You know, definitely download the app and hook up your address book. Be careful, because it could very well send invites to everyone. You have to always make sure to uncheck that, you know, select all preference there. But you know, definitely use that mobile. And with that said, let me see if there's any other questions hitting here. I think that's it. If you have questions that I didn't answer, email me or reach out to me on LinkedIn. And that's it for this webinar.
Oh.
Alexandra, are you there?
Yes, Donna, I just want to, maybe if you have a few minutes, we can cover some of the questions that we had sent earlier. Do we have time for that? Okay. There was a question that came in and says, how much info should we include on how much is, basically the question is, how much is too much, how much is too little?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the answer is this. I know the answer is this, and that is, think in terms of your target audience. What do they need to know? And really think, you know, do you need to go into every single nitty-gritty accomplishment? No, that's what a resume is for. You know, a lot of times when we say too much, we really risk disqualifying ourselves. So say just enough to whet the appetite and get that person to want to pick up the phone and talk to you. All right, so really think, what does your target audience need to know? Give them just enough to whet their appetite, so then they can call you and you can talk it through with them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. There was another question. Let's see. It says, what is the best way to update your profile to show you're a military spouse seeking employment?
You know,
go ahead.
That's another good question. You know, I think that would be something that you might want to mention in your summary. I don't think I put it in your headline, and I certainly wouldn't put it down deep into your experiences. I don't think it's something that I would lead with, right? Because you want to lead with your benefits, you know, and your differentiation and how you help people, you know, because that's really what defines you more so than anything. So you want to lead with that, and then, you know, towards the bottom of the summary, that's where you might, you know, make mention of it and let people know. And it's totally fine to say, hey, by the way, you know, the good news is I am looking for my next opportunity. You know, contact me to discuss. So it's absolutely okay to let people know that you're looking, and definitely you can put that in the bottom of the summary as well.
Okay, awesome. There's another one more question. You know, for us military spouses, you know, when we are moving from one place to the other, what would be the best way for us to tackle our LinkedIn profile so that we can, you know, address those short things right away, I guess? Basically, like, say we move a lot, so how do we optimize the LinkedIn profile, not only to connect with other people where we're moving, but also find those opportunities?
Absolutely. So right near your name on your LinkedIn profile is an area called for the industry and your location. So absolutely, when you are moving or you're beginning to move, update that location. I can't tell you how many of my clients, when we go to update their profiles, we find that their location is reading like 3 moves ago. So definitely, it's such an easy, it's an area that's so easy to miss. But definitely make sure you update that location. And then in the contact advice, or even in the summary, you can even say, you know, I'm moving into this area and I'm open to opportunities there. You might want to go into groups and look to see if there's any networking groups within that area that you can join ahead of time and start to, you know, sort of, you know, shake people's hands and see what's out there and who these people are. So one, update the location, certainly mention it within your contact advice or within your summary section, and also look at groups, really join some groups in that area for networking and see what's going on, maybe like a chamber of commerce or something in that area where you're moving to. That's a great way to really start to forge that network early on.
Okay, awesome. And you touched into a little bit about groups. So how important would you say are joining and being active in groups when you're doing that search when you're moving? Is that worth the time?
Oh, I think it's always important to be involved in groups. I mean, I think here's the thing. There are people out there who will say, oh, being in groups is fantastic. You can interact, you can learn, you can find prospects, and that's all true, but it does take time. The way I like to use groups is a little bit different. Certainly, if you're going to be going into an area and that's a great time to network utilizing a group. But on a whole, for me, you can join up to 100 groups. I say join all 100 groups. Now, it used to be 50. They've just changed it to 100. So join as many groups as you can because all of those members are now being added into your LinkedIn network, which means that you're going to be found more often and more easily by people who might be interested in you. So one, join as many groups as you can, and two, join groups where your target audience is located. And so, you might want to join groups within that new location that you're moving to. You want to really think in terms of why are you on LinkedIn right now? Is it because you're looking for a job? Then join groups where there's recruiters and hiring managers. Think in terms of your industry. Join those groups. If you are a small business owner and you're on it because you want to find prospects and clients, future clients, well, think in terms of those clients. What groups do they belong to? And join those groups. You don't want to just join the groups where of your own interest, because most likely you're just going to find competitors.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I mean, it makes total sense. I guess on the last question would be, because I know we were running out of time and we don't want to take much of your time. We are having, I think we were, since we joined with the Mill School project, I'm sure a lot of the military spouses, instead of looking for a job, they have a small business. So what would you say would be the #1 thing that people can do to improve their LinkedIn profile, to gather more business, to gain clients, to increase their visibility out there as a thought leader?
So, again, it goes back to really not what you want to say. It's what that target audience, what that client base, those prospects, what do they need to hear? So you want to think in terms of what's going to benefit, what benefits do you provide to them that they need, and that's what you want to talk about. So use that LinkedIn summary as that introduction, as that elevator pitch, and talk to them directly and say I'm here to help do this and this and this. I'm here to help you find new marketing ideas. Everyone is different. I mean, it's almost too hard to give an example in this situation, but don't copy and paste your bio. Don't copy and paste your resume. Really look at it and say to yourself, how do I help people? And write that down, just as if maybe you were going to a networking group and you were going to shake some hands and meet people. What is that story that you tell to those prospects, to those people? And that's what you want that LinkedIn profile, that summary, to look like.
Okay, awesome, Donna. Thank you so much. I think we can wrap it up, unless Elizabeth has something to say.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. That was great and so helpful. I know those are questions I've been having as a business owner for a long time, so grateful to have you, and thanks for all the insight. And where can people find more information if they wanted to get further training from you?
Sure. Just visit my website, linkedin-makeover.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Donna Serdula. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Donna. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you, Donna.